fun. It's Robert Tier and I done this. We laid it 32 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever think it would last this long?
Yeah.
It's
It was
grown from
12
strength to
teams,
strength.
12 teams at the start, so yes,
Wow.
surprised that it lasted this long.
Fantastic.
It outplayed the Nomads and us, so then Springfield took over like it was. So,
Yeah. No. And you've been out every year since, pretty much.
Yes,
Top
haven't
man.
missed a year.
Top
Only last year.
Excellent. I've managed to catch up with Robert Tier, who allegedly was one of the founders. Is that the right word to use? Founders? Creators?
Yeah.
Instigators. Instigator, that sounds better to me. Yeah. Of the Essex Way. So how did it all start, Robert? Presumably the footpath was already there.
Yeah.
You're not that old.
The idea came from a guy called I've forgotten his name. The idea came from a guy called I've forgotten his name. The idea came from a guy called I've forgotten his name. That's a good start, isn't it? Friend of Fergie's.
Right.
Irish guy, Tommy.
Yeah. All right.
And he came across it. Came across the guidebook, the original guidebook, the Essex Way.
Yeah.
And he came across it in a pub in Fuller Street.
That sounds about
the
right.
square encompasses.
Sounds about right.
Tommy's never forgiven me because the guy who runs
Morning.
the guy who runs the Essex Way website asked me about how it started, and I said Tommy had come across the book in a library. And
It's a sort
Tommy
of a library.
said he's lost street cred, he's never been a library in his life. So it was in a pub.
Nice.
And anyway, Tommy said he said to Fergie, this could make a good relay.
Wow. Was he a runner, Tommy?
Sort of. He ran a couple of Nomads, a big guy.
Yeah.
Like Tommy, who was in the construction industry, building sites and so
yeah.
on. But he ran us a couple of times. He was involved on the fringe of the Nomads. So anyway, nothing said at the moment. Then in 1988, several of us, myself, Fergie and Ray Davis, backed up by various other Nomads, we took part in an event called Chelmsford Jailbreak.
I heard about that.
The idea was you had to get away from Chelmsford prison and get as far away as you possibly could. And people got away by all means.
In a certain amount of time,
airplanes.
presumably.
But they actually, this year, they had a running category
Right.
for running teams of 3.
Got you.
And I think it was in 12 hours. You had to cover as much ground as you could.
Bloody hell.
And we,
As a relay team? Or?
as a team of 3,
Right,
relay
yeah.
team. And quite amazingly, we actually won it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you could run in any direction wherever you wanted?
Yeah. I won't bore you with the theme.
No.
But
Sounds good.
we had a plan which worked out, shall we say, for amazingly high. Anyway, there was a presentation for obviously winning teams and so on,
Yeah.
which we went along to. And there we met one of the guys who'd organised Chelmsford Jailbreak,
Right.
a chap called John Good. He was a warder at the time at Chelmsford Prison, which is, probably knows where Porridge was at on
Quite handy.
Yeah. And it was mentioned to him,
Right.
and he thought that was a good idea.
Wow.
And that's how it came about. The following year, the Essex Way relay started.
And so,
And John was the main organiser, John Good.
obviously it's got no marshals or anything on the race.
Yeah.
And clearly somebody had to write the instructions.
Well, the instructions came much later.
Oh, right. Okay.
At the beginning,
So what was the
first Essex Way relay,
Yeah.
using a pickup truck and carting about half a dozen of us around,
Yeah.
including myself, Fergie, John, a couple of people from Springfield, one of which is Kevin Wright, is very involved in present day Essex trail running.
Yeah.
And we marked the entire course using blobs of flour. We stopped somewhere, some people would be set off, and the old guidebook, of which I still got an edition,
Yeah.
It's not very easy to follow.
No, I bet it's not. No.
The chap was. It's
Probably
good,
for a
but
reason.
Yeah, it was difficult to follow. We were getting lost all over the place. But basically, we'd be let off and picked up later.
Yeah.
With big bags of flour or lime or whatever it was we used, marking it.
That must have taken some effort.
And some places it was marked off the back of the truck. I remember the truck driving through Manningtree.
How many teams were in the first one then?
I think there was about 12 or 13 the first one.
So somebody was a good spreader of the news and a convincer.
Yeah, it must be. I think John did most of the PR at that time because he was the main organiser for about the first 10 years or so of the event.
How long did it take you then? The full 2 days to lay blobs of flour?
Oh, yeah, we were starting early, we were working till darkness and starting again for a light next day.
My
So
God.
it took us 2 days. So.
And what was the spacing between the flour? Varied.
Varied. yeah.
Brilliant.
Which is one of the reasons why on the day people were getting lost all over the place.
Yes. So here's a question about the length of the Essex Way.
Right.
I've read the plaque on the lighthouse at Harwich and it says 81 footpath miles.
Yeah.
But every time I've run the Essex Way, my instructions tell me it's 82 miles.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I think the length has varied at times. Stages have changed.
It depends on where the flour was laid.
Well, not so much the floor really, but for example, stage 9 at the start from Bradfield,
right.
going down towards the river.
Yeah.
Originally, the path went diagonally across a couple of fields.
Ah.
But then a deal was done with the farmer, so that instead of having to run along the foreshore for a long way,
right,
which was very mucky and difficult when the tide was in, we could use the edges of fields. But the deal with Essex County Council was that the diagonal footpaths would be extinguished and the path would go around the edge of the fields instead. So the result of that was that stage was about 0.4 of a mile longer.
Ah, see.
And that happened in various places. So
right.
I think 82 is more accurate.
Okay.
And in the early days, it was probably slightly over 81, and then they rounded it down. So really it's just, I think, stage lengths altering a bit over time.
Yeah, right, I got you.
Another one was that on the very long stage, 7, isn't it? The one that ends in Dedham.
Yeah.
There's a bit, about 3 miles after the start, where the path going across farmland, I used to turn left. But in fact, that was not a public right of way.
Huh.
Though that was the official route in the original guidebook, it was incorrect.
Oh.
So it had to be changed to an extra loop, which again added about 300 metres or so.
Yeah, so 82 is the
Yeah, I think
somebody needs to change the plaque. Get
I
Fergie
don't-
climbing up it and changing it.
I don't think anyone's too bothered.
No.
Spray over
But
it.
it's a question that I just thought,
Yeah.
that's bizarre. Who's decided the length then?
Coming back to the written instructions,
Oh yeah.
for about I say, while John was in charge, so I'm good, for about the first 10 years or so of the event, individuals, teams and groups of people like Fergie and people like they'd go out the day before and mark bits of the course.
Yeah.
And for example, I think it was the Benfleet Club, they used tape.
Oh right, okay. Oh yeah,
but-
hanging from the
yeah.
branches. Right.
So
yeah, you see a lot of that on ultras.
it
and
was
trail
better
runs
marked because I said people, it was a smaller number of people marking stages and so on.
Yeah.
So some stages were still marked better than others, but the marking improved. Then the event nearly folded. I think it was in the millennium year 2000, because John pulled out very late.
Oh.
And he sent a letter around telling all the teams the event was cancelled.
Oh my God.
So Fergie got wind of this.
Wasn't
and
having it.
No, and really the event owes itself to Fergie. It would have collapsed then, but for Fergie's determination.
Yeah.
So
That's what he says about you.
yeah, we kept it going.
He says it's your fault.
Yeah, it's everybody's fault. I suggested that why didn't we write it in trail run format?
Yeah.
So that people could carry
Much
those
better
with them.
idea.
And really what they're meant to do is to learn the stage like most nomads
That's right,
do
recce it.
beforehand.
Yeah.
Not everyone
Yeah,
does,
'cause
but
that-
yeah.
It makes sense in terms of it was hard yards clearly every
Yeah.
year marking it out, and then like you say got a bit better with clubs doing their own marking on the stages, but to have the instructions that last a lifetime, don't they?
Yeah, I wrote most of the early stages. There were a
Wow.
couple of others chap from the Essex Casuals.
So you'd have had to rerun it or rewalk it presumably to do that. The whole-
Not only did we have to do that and write it, then we had to get various nomads out at various times to check out if they could follow the instructions and revise them.
of course, yeah.
So we got it sort of right,
Yeah,
and that's how that came about. It's been like that ever since.
brilliant. Yeah, that's super.
But that
So-
did take a lot of effort.
Cool, yeah. Yeah, I mean that's like writing a whole autobiography of the, in
Private
every
running
twist and turn.
of interesting conditions at times.
Yeah, every twist and turn. No, that, I have to say, even though I recce whatever stage I'm running, I always have the instructions with me.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah, it's wise.
Always.
It's not so easy to get lost now because the event is there's so many teams in it now.
Yeah,
So you're almost certain to see someone ahead of you
that's
as
right.
long as they're going the right way.
Exactly.
The problem is
yeah.
if they're going the wrong way and you follow them.
Yeah.
There is a story years ago, Dave Brooks,
Oh,
on stage one.
There's always a story with Dave Brooks.
Well, we told Dave, you need to rack it, Dave, and then you say, oh, no, I'll just follow somebody. Well, the person he chose to follow, he couldn't keep up with. So basically, Brooksy, or rather shamefaced Brooksy, came in a long way after a lot of other people having got lost. He maintains to this day that he wasn't lost. He knew where he was all the time. To which we say, yeah, epic forest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, that's Brooksy. Yeah, I know a few other people like that.
Fergie's friend, Pat Gormley, he was running the long stage again, the one that
Yeah,
ended Dedham.
7. Yeah.
And Fergie told him, you'll be all right, Pat, just follow Robert. Well, Pat could, in those days, Pat couldn't
Couldn't
name
keep
me.
up, yeah.
He'd kill me now.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting towards Dedham, the River Stour,
Yeah.
he wasn't sure where he was, and he saw this chap dressed in a lot of white gear and so on, and like a forensic suit almost.
Yeah.
He thought, oh, I'll ask that chap. It turned out the guy was a beekeeper,
Oh.
and the bee said, thank you very much. So Pat gets stung a few times.
Oh my God. I think every year's got a story, isn't it? I know.
Oh, the
Yeah.
other famous one, I know you get loads here. Jim Jennett,
Oh yeah, no, Jim. Yeah.
for years,
Yeah.
Jim ran stage 9 for us.
Yeah. He ran it this year for
Well,
for his new club.
The one that finishes in Bradfield.
Yeah.
Jim didn't have much of a sense of direction and he got lost every year. But the most famous one was when he maintained it, because towards the end of that stage, a really good landmark is the windmill.
Right, yeah, that's right.
You
Yeah.
run
you
towards
come
the
up through
windmill.
the field to the windmill and then
Jim
back. Yeah.
maintained they must have demolished it, or they must have moved it, because he maintained there was no windmill.
It's one of the last remaining windmills in
Well,
Essex, I think, isn't it?
At the Nomads do that year, we gave Jim a big picture windmill just to help him next time so he knew what one looked like.
Yeah, I know exactly the one you're talking about. I think there's only 2 or 3 left in Essex.
Yeah,
now,
there's
isn't
not many.
there? Yeah.
There's one
yeah.
near Turling as well.
So who?
off the Ford.
How did it get broken down into 10 stages?
Well, John decided that. I think probably it was really forced on it because you had to have good changeover points.
yeah,
So really, I think deciding where the best changeover points would be first,
right.
and then obviously
Taking
the
it
stages
from, I
in
always
between.
wondered about the stages. Yeah. Do you have a particular favourite or a less favourite stage?
I don't really have a favourite, but I mean, I think it's bits of stages. I always like running by rivers.
Yeah. don't you?
First of all, it's pleasant,
Mm.
and
I
secondly,
think,
you don't
so.
have to think too much. You just follow the river.
Yeah, 2's a big river. and so-
2, I like the river roading. That's a nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come into Dedham, I'll
6
by
as
the-
well, isn't it? Is it stage 6 from outside the pub?
Gritay.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
you,
there's a
you
bit of
go
river
down,
there,
yeah,
isn't there, as well,
a bit
yeah.
of river on that.
Come
9
into
obviously is all
Dedham is
river.
nice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the last couple of stages, that's nice too.
Mm.
I think overall, probably if I had to pick a favourite stage, it'd probably be the first one through the forest.
Right, I've
Yeah.
never done that one,
Yeah,
but I would like
it's
to
nice.
do it. Yeah.
Used to be good in the early days
I know.
because you had such an advantage if you'd wrecked it.
Ah,
Because
right.
you know, so many twists and turns and trees.
Yeah.
if someone's trying to follow someone else, they need to keep pretty close because if they lose sight.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to know
Where
your way.
I'm in trees, says Steve Brooks one night.
Stick them on stage one.
Yeah.
I know Peter said.
Well folks, thank you my public for watching this little video. I'm just going to show you how to run. All you do is you put one leg in front of another and repeat with the other leg and carry on till you get to the finish.
Thanks Peter, that's great running advice. Stage one this year, Peter Woodard.
Yeah.
And he said the worst thing was he normally doesn't get out of bed till 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And it started at 8.
And it's an early start.
Yeah, that was his biggest worry.
Of course, in the early days, it used to be alternative years held in different directions. So one year it would start in Epping, and one year it would start in Harwich.
And that is the question, because I've only ever run it Epping to Harwich.
Well,
and my question is it Epping to Harwich, or is it Harwich to Epping?
It is. The book, that guidebook is written Epping to Harwich.
Right.
And I think the fact says that's a finish, doesn't it, at Harwich?
Yeah, so I guess that answers the question, because when I read the guidebook online, it was talking about, Epping Forest was the last post into London, effectively, and hence all the pubs that emerged in that area for the highwaymen, if you like,
and the drovers and what have you.
Yeah, and so I thought at that point, maybe it's Harwich to Epping then.
Yeah.
And they were all coming, or were they taking stuff out to the port from London to trade, or were they bringing stuff in to trade in London?
I think a lot of them were old routes used by the people driving the kettle to market. For example, Chipping-Ongar, I think, used to have a market.
Yeah,
because the guy,
that's right. Yeah.
Manager, one of the farms had told me once, he said that was part of the old route, because he took some old guy who remembers when they used to actually drive the kettle up those paths.
And the other thing that amuses me is it's always good weather.
Yeah.
I've never run it when it's been absolutely teeming down with rain or anything. And even this year it was so sunny, and we haven't had a great a great summer.
I can only remember one year when we had any sort of rain. I can remember recording at Dedham. The thing's dry.
Yeah. And has the scoring changed much? Who designed the scoring?
The scoring's always been based the same way, where the first person gets 1 point and so on.
Yeah.
When we stopped doing it, and it was taken over by Sally Gillam, who's done a brilliant job, and her friend Martin, I think, devised the
and they still do it, don't
system,
they?
which is brilliant. They've done a superb job.
Yeah, they still do it. Because I've looked at a few of the scoreboards over the years off the website.
Well, we used to write it on bits of hardboard and so on, but obviously it got much too big and sophisticated for that.
Yeah, you can see over the years the scores that I've looked at. Not only the same clubs have come back time and time again, and I think a couple of years ago it hit its highest participation level, didn't it? It was something 80 odd clubs, I think.
Yeah,
which was phenomenal.
And I would never have thought it would get to that. When we were about 30, I thought we were nearing the limit of what we could cope with. Not because of the runners, because they're well spread out once they get going, but the traffic and the changeover arrangements, parking and so on.
Yeah. So the scores, I've noticed, like you say, some of them almost started in chalk.
Yeah.
And as the years went by, you then started getting the typewriter involved, and now the computer.
The year it became a big problem was that year when we did have heavy rain, because of course you couldn't really put the scoreboard out there for people to look at.
Yeah.
Because Peter Woodard did the scoring, and he did a hell of a job because he's trying to do everything pumped up in the car and.
I bet. Yeah. It's a long old day if you follow it from start to finish. But what a lovely day it is.
It is a lovely day. Yeah.
And of course, everyone mentions the ice cream shop at Dedham.
Yeah, well,
that's sort of the favourite.
Woodard's picked that up. Carrie and myself, we always used to have a cream tea at Dedham.
Oh, right.
So the trick was to try and get an early stage. I certainly couldn't run after that. But
I've balls that up about 3 years running.
We did that with, we had Tina with us one year, Tina Nolden.
Yeah.
And poor Tina was running a later stage, so she had to sit in the coffee shop, the English Rose it's called, isn't it?
Yeah,
Dedham.
that's
and
right.
Watch Carrie and myself demolish the cream tea. What all she could do was have a coffee.
and limber up for her stage. Yeah.
I mean, some people would argue to be able to eat a full meal, had great tea in the pub, and then run. Well, I couldn't do that.
No, I couldn't be doing that. No, no, definitely not. But then he is a lawn to him.
He's a
so-
foodie, yeah. He's got his ice cream at Dedham.
Yeah.
He's got
I was going to say, where are your
Me-
your little sort of hidey spots along the route for you? Your best eateries and your best sort of hostelries? Obviously, the
well,
ice cream shop.
obviously the halfway, the Great Tay,
Yeah.
has always been a very favourite spot.
Right.
And it's one of the, I think it's the longest interval between stages, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
So
Yeah.
it gives people the chance to sort of refuel
Yeah,
and
have a
relax for a little bit before the second bit gets underway.
Yeah, I know definitely trying to cover it leg by leg this year to take a bit of footage and photographs and things. I never stopped. And we were trying to get sort of midway points on each leg to catch the runners coming through.
Yeah.
And invariably you knew you had it right, because if Fergie was there,
Yes, you're about right.
you knew you were in a bizarre spot if Fergie wasn't there.
Well, like myself, Fergie knows the spots, you know, but then
Well, yeah, you will.
after a long time of taking part and following it and so on, you get to know where they are. And
Yeah. I said to Fergie, did you ever think it would go on this long? He said, we never dreamt it.
oh,
really.
no.
You know, it was an idea. We laid it out. But it's such a legacy, really, to you guys,
Yeah.
that, you know, I love it. And I've only been involved the last few years.
I think the game changer was when it was written in trail run format.
Yeah.
It's just the numbers, you wonder whether it's reached capacity, because there must be a limit somewhere, a ceiling to how many teams you can have involved.
Yeah. I think once you've done it, you just love it. It's one of those races.
Oh,
that,
so many people look forward to it, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I love it, and I know a few other people that have, you know, they're not going on holiday or anything, unlike
Yeah.
yourself.
Well, no, but you get it.
You've only done it once, I think. Have you only missed it once?
Yeah, that's the only time.
Wow, in 32 years or so.
32, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you must have been pacing up and down on the day.
Well, I was in my head. I was following it.
Yeah, brilliant.
As I said, unfortunately, I'd meant to get chips, but the local chip shop where we were, they decided to go on holiday that week. So.
It's been a bad year for you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and annus horribilis in
That's
terms
it.
of the
As your
Essex
Queen
Way.
would say, yeah.
Yeah.
Down this one, yeah.
Yeah, down this way. And then we'll rock up for a coffee.
Yeah, you're going down the
coffee and a
hill
bit
now.
of cake, I think we've earned it.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Yeah. So what else can you think of in terms of the Essex Way that is worthy of note, or any? Presumably you didn't run it in bare feet and clogs in the old days, like Peter would have us believe.
No, we didn't run in Plimsoll's Eye, I believe it. We actually did have trainers in those days. we used to get our trainers out of the boot of Dave Staines' car. Dave Staines used to sell cheap trainers. They used to make Reebok shoes at
Yeah.
the Barter factory in East Tilbury.
Right.
And Dave had a contact there.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah. Or one of those
I'm not quite
contacts.
sure how legal it was, but
Yeah.
anyway, we used to. Any running event you went to, Dave would be selling trainers out of the back of his car.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible.
So
Do you know which team has won it the most?
Springfield undoubtedly.
Yeah. And the categories as well, they're a bit strange. I know a few people have commented on, you know, whether there should be more mixed teams or
Yeah.
more varieties of categories, but you know what? There's no medals involved.
No,
There's no charge for it. It's free.
that's right.
I think that's what could. This way. I think that's, you know, for me,
Oh yeah.
that's one of the strengths of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, has there been conversations about that in the past?
Yeah, we were always wary of having too many categories, because before we took it over, that was happening. There were virtually categories for turning up.
Yeah.
So we decided to simplify it.
Yeah.
And the reason for the over 45 category, vets category, that came about because a guy, Andy Colbert, very, very involved in Essex trail running. He had a brain hemorrhage and eventually died.
Oh dear.
And so that was started in memory of him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. Have we ever won it?
No. There's been one or two
That can't be right.
individual stage winners, but
Yeah.
I won my stage the first year.
Oh,
Maybe
brilliant.
because everyone else was wrong.
Yeah, you wrote everyone else's
Yeah,
instructions.
well, they weren't written then, were they? So
Yeah,
you
no,
had the
flower
flower
globes,
globes,
yeah. a couple of diversions.
And Fergie was saying he won a stage first year under fairly similar circumstances.
Yeah, but yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Listen, I really appreciate your time,
That's all right,
Robert,
Dave.
and
I hope it's enough.
your wisdom and your memories.
Stuff, no the wisdom, but
Yeah, I'll have to get my hand in my pocket now. There's always a cost to it. Thanks, Robert.
thank you very much.
So I've managed to ply Robert with what he
drink,
thought was an Americano.
Irish coffee.
But him being Irish, I thought an Irish coffee would be better. So anyway, the benefit of that is there's a few more stories we can probably get out of him. Robert, I've heard about this minibus story on the Essex Way. Can you elaborate on it a little bit?
Well,
I'll give your version.
No matter two teams, it was one of the early Essex Way relays, and we'd somehow managed to get hold of two minibuses.
Somehow.
One of them had been borrowed from the school.
Right.
And outside, it must have been excitement, but outside the Checkers pub in Great Tay, which is about halfway, which was normally a longer stop and people have something to eat and without has a full meal you used to have anyway, and drink and so on. So it must have been excitement. The two minibuses bumped into each other. So Roger White, he was the teacher.
Who was driving them? Or does that remain anonymous?
I can't remember now, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know Derek Atkins was involved in something about opening a door too early before the minibus had stopped, and the other one crashing into it.
Yeah.
But Roger then had the unenviable task of taking the bus which he'd borrowed back to the Knightsmead, I think it was a special school, back there the next day and explaining to the head teacher what had happened. But
did it remain out for the rest of the race that day?
I think they were drivable,
doorless,
but damaged. Yeah, but the Billericay Striders heard about this, and it was put in their newsletter, and they had great fun at our expense.
I bet they did, yeah.
So when
several years after the
T-shirt incident happened, and they had to burn all the T-shirts because they thought they were toxic. Through some disinformation spread by us, we got our own back, and we thought that was very amusing. Yeah. They didn't. We didn't take ourselves very seriously.
No.
So we were sort of looked down about by proper running clubs and posh running clubs. Aspirational running clubs.
Yeah.
So that was the story of the minibus. I don't know what happened. Roger took it back, but
Yeah, well,
he wasn't very happy about it either, having to take it back and explain.
No, I bet.
it.
Yeah, I bet. Less said the better.
Having begged and grovelled to borrow it in the first place.
I take it the minibuses were never seen thereafter.
Yeah.
That was the last year of use.
Roger actually, just as a footnote, he won the Follow the Year one year.
Oh, right.
He was up at the Bell.
Yeah.
Was someone else, and being clever, they'd taken bikes so they could drive afterwards, not have to drive. Upon leaving the Bell after several jars of amber ale,
Yeah.
Roger fell off his bike.
Oh.
Broke
Drunk
various
in charge
things
of a
and
cycle.
wasn't plastered for a long time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so literally plastered.
Oh, yeah.
As a
That's a
consequence.
good story,
Yeah,
that, actually.
so-
Yeah. Totally plastered. And maybe that's where the saying came from.
It could be. It could be.
Brilliant, excellent. I love your stories. I wish we had time for more.
Fergie is more.
Yeah, oh,
but
Fergie,
the
yeah,
truth, of
yeah.
course, is
It's somewhere in
questionable.
The truth
Some of
lies
them.
somewhere between the story and the
I
reality.
mean, they used to say that choose the sport, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Well,
No.
Fergie certainly didn't.
No, that's
Still
right,
doesn't.
Yeah. No, he still doesn't. Yeah. Top man he is. Yeah. He, like you, he said he's only missed 1 year. That was obviously last year with the COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Nomads are the only club who've taken part in every one,
Every
if you
single
include
year.
the virtual one.
Right, every
Yeah.
single year. Yeah. Incredible.
I think Benfleet had, but they didn't take part in the virtual one.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to make sure that you guys are celebrated on the 50th. Only 18 years to go.
Oh yeah, you'll have to keep us going. You have to inject us with formaldehyde or something.
The way I'm going, you lot will last longer than
yeah,
me.
I don't know about that,
Oh,
but
God. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks very much, Robert.
That's
really,
all right,
really
Dave,
appreciate it.
Hope you can get 2 minutes out of that.
Absolute legend of the race. I'm sure we'll get a lot more than 2 minutes. Yeah.
She was described recently. Oh, it was Ashley.
Oh, we've got to have a
who
story
described-
on Lucy.
Well, who described her as a legend.
Oh, a legend.
Yeah, nobody's legend.
Does that
Lucy.
make you lot?
Well, I
My
said,
goodness.
how come you
Nobody's-
managed to become a legend?
I know.
And after time it took me.
You just left a legacy.
Yeah.
We'll have to get
I think she was a
statues.
bit smug about that.